She sat by the window watching the sun rise over Kabul. The city she once called home looked so different now. Helicopters moved in the distance and fear filled the air. Her phone buzzed nonstop messages from friends, family, and strangers, all asking the same question: can you help us get out? Her name was Layla, an Afghan-American lawyer who had returned to Afghanistan years earlier to help rebuild the justice system. She believed that law could bring peace, that fairness could heal what war had broken. But when the city began to fall in August 2021, everything changed overnight. The airport was chaos. People crowded every gate. Families pushed forward with children in their arms, and soldiers shouted orders. Layla knew she had to act. She had contacts in the United States. She had a voice, and she could not stay silent. She sat down at her laptop and began typing emails, one after another, writing to senators, to journalists, to military contacts, to anyone who could help. People were trapped in homes, hiding from patrols, burning papers that could mark them as allies. Her own friends who had worked with her in women's rights projects were terrified. One whispered to her over a weak phone line, "They are coming, house to house." Layla felt her heart sink. She promised to get them out, somehow. Days turned into weeks. She stayed in Kabul, helping coordinate more evacuations from safe houses, sometimes hiding families in basements until a ride could be arranged. She worked with soldiers, NGOs, and volunteers across the world, people who had never met her but trusted her. She was the link between chaos and safety, between fear and hope. But the pressure grew. She received threats. She was warned to leave, yet she stayed until the very last civilian plane departed. Only then did she finally agree to go. Her own evacuation felt unreal. She looked back at the airport gates, knowing that thousands still remained. Her mission was not over. When she reached the United States, she didn't rest. She began calling government offices, urging faster visa approvals for the people left behind. She founded a small organization dedicated to legal help for Afghan refugees. She raised funds, wrote petitions, and spoke in conferences telling the world that saving lives was not a political act. It was human duty. Months later, she reunited with the first family she helped evacuate. The mother and children now lived in Virginia. The little girl ran up and hugged her, calling her Kala, which means aunt in Dari. Layla smiled through tears. That single moment made every sleepless night, every risk, every tear worth it. She became a quiet hero, never seeking fame. She said, "I am not brave. I just did what needed to be done." But others disagreed. To the people she saved, she was a lifeline, a protector, an angel in the chaos. Her story spread through Afghan communities across America, inspiring others to help resettle refugees. She trained young lawyers to handle asylum cases and taught them compassion over paperwork. In interviews, she often spoke softly, never dramatizing her own struggle. She wanted detention only for those still waiting abroad. Sometimes she would pause and close her eyes, remembering the faces of those who didn't make it, those who were left behind. She carried their stories in her heart as a reminder that courage does not mean absence of fear. It means moving through fear to help someone else. She said once during a public talk, "When your country is falling apart, you don't run away. You hold out your hand for someone else to hold on to, because maybe that's how we rebuild again." Her work gained recognition from humanitarian groups. She received awards, but to her, the true reward was each message she received from families reunited across continents. She built a network of volunteers across the United States, creating pathways for education, housing, and jobs for the newcomers. Her small team helped hundreds start new lives, teaching them English, finding schools for children, even celebrating holidays together. She brought hope into rooms that once knew only loss. When asked how she kept going, she replied quietly, "Because I remember what fear looks like. I have seen it in the eyes of mothers who don't know if their children will live another day. I can't forget that, and I don't want to." Years passed, but she never truly left Afghanistan. Her heart remained there. She often sent aid quietly to families still hiding there, using trusted channels. One evening, as she watched the sunset over Washington, D.C., she thought about how life had changed. She had once walked those dusty streets of Kabul, surrounded by danger. Now she walked among monuments of freedom. But both places carried the same truth. Freedom has a price, and someone must always stand up to protect it. Her story continues, not as a chapter closed, but as an ongoing journey. She still meets planes at airports, greeting refugees, helping them fill forms, smiling to ease their fear. She still writes letters to Congress asking for better refugee protections. She still dreams of the day she can return to a peaceful homeland. She says, "Every time I see a family smile here, I know Afghanistan is alive somewhere inside us all." She became a bridge between two worlds, between the pain of war and the promise of safety, between the land she lost and the people she saved. Her courage wasn't in grand speeches or headlines. It was in quiet nights behind a laptop, in whispered calls, in long waits outside embassy gates, in holding a crying child and saying, "You will be safe now." Through her journey, the world learned that true bravery is not always loud. Sometimes it is the calm voice that says, "I will help," even when everything is falling apart. Her legacy lives in every life she touched, every home rebuilt, every child who now dreams freely in a new land. Because one woman chose to act when fear could have silenced her. Her story is a testament that compassion is the highest form of courage, and even in the darkest moments, one person's light can guide hundreds to safety and hope again.